For this problem, we are asked to divide and simplify completely. We notice, however, on this example that we actually need to add the two fractions together before we can do anything else. And so if you're able to combine first, then that is what needs to be done. Notice that we have a common denominator of 1 plus I, and then because the operation is add, all we need to do is combine like terms on the top. So we would have 8 plus 4, which would be 12, and then we would have a negative 4i plus negative 5i, which would be negative 9i. So combine that, simplify that first before you do anything else. Now, from here, we need to divide the complex value. To divide a complex value, you need to know to multiply by the conjugate of whatever's in the denominator. The denominator is 1 plus I, so the conjugate would be 1 minus I. Whatever you do on the bottom, copy that same value to the top. From here, we need to actually multiply. In this case, we can see that we're going to be multiplying top and bottom both by using FOIL. So in the top, we'd multiply 12 times 1, which would be 12. 12 times negative I, which would be negative 12i. Negative 9i times 1, which would be negative 9i. And then negative 9i times negative I, which would be positive 9i squared. Do the same thing on the bottom. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times negative I is negative I times positive 1 is positive I. And then I times negative I is negative I squared. For problems when you're dividing complex values, you should always expect the i's in the denominator to disappear. And so on this step, if that does not happen, then you know something is wrong. We will go ahead and combine both top and bottom like terms, and anywhere we see an I squared, we would replace that with a negative 1. So we would have a 12, combine the negative 12i and the negative 9i, and we will have negative, we want to add those two values together, so that would end up being negative 21i, and then plus 9 times negative 1. On the bottom, these two terms would cancel, so we would have 1 minus, and then in place of I squared, we would put negative 1. Okay, simplifying, we will have 12 minus 21i minus 9, and then on the bottom, actually 1 plus 1, which would end up giving me 2. From here, combine like terms that you have on the top, and so we would have 12 minus 9, which would be 3, minus 21i, all over 2. Now remember, when you have a fraction like this that's, I'm going to say, all put together in one piece, to write it in proper form, as far as in complex form, we would need to split it. So you would want to put your 3 over 2, and then minus 21 over 2, and place the I to the side of that one. And so that way you have a real part and an imaginary part, and this would be your final answer. I'm going to make a note on reducing. So put this in your notes and just say on reducing. What we have is 10 plus 24i all over 8 when you get to a particular step. To reduce that, go ahead and split it like we've done above. So you would say 10 over 8 plus 24 over 8i, but then you would reduce both fractions. So in this case, for the 10 over 8, both of those are divisible by 2, and so that would become 5 over 4 plus, and then 24 divided by 8 is 3, and then you would have your I. So make sure that not only have you split your fraction so that you have real part first, imaginary part second, but also make sure that you've simplified your fractions.